Hello, my name is Travis Miller, and I am the College and Career Advisor at your high school. The point of today's presentation is to quickly go over who I am, what the College and Career Access Center is, and what I'm going to be doing over the course of this year to help you guys preparing for what's next after your senior year of high school. This presentation will be pretty content heavy. There won't be a ton of things that I will be having you do today. The reason we're doing it this way is because I will be coming back over the course of the year to do a more in-depth presentation and workshop on each of the topics. You'll see that when we get to them, we will be doing uh, a more in-depth workshop on those. So when that day comes, it will be every week in October. I will be doing presentations in your class on those topic areas. But if between now and then you want to work on them or have questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. So again, the goals for this presentation are just to introduce myself as the College and Career Advisor, to create a general outline for you if you are a student who is planning on pursuing post-secondary education. And then again, just to briefly discuss the topics we will be covering in our later group presentations. So I wanted to add a picture of myself just so you could see who I am. That's me in the bottom. My name's Travis Miller. I am going into my second year as the College and Career Advisor at your school. I'm pretty excited about it. Last year was a great learning experience. This year will obviously look a little bit different. So we're going to be trying a couple new things this year. Uh, but my hope is that it's successful and I'm able to help you better, just differently. So some of you might know what the College and Career Access Center some of you might not. I want to first start off by making sure that you are aware that every single one of our services is completely free. We don't charge for anything. So me being here in the school, obviously, or through Zoom meetings, you're meeting with you during the school hours. There is no charge to you. If you do decide you want to come into our center to get some help with things, the services that we offer there are also completely free, which is pretty cool. It does get confusing for some people because we are located in a mall, so they assume that there is going to be some cost to it. But yeah, nothing that we offer as a center has a cost to it. We do have some organizations that work in the center, kind of alongside us, that might have some charges, but the things that I would be working with you have no charge. We are a nonprofit, and as I mentioned, we are located in the Jackson Crossing Mall. If you are in the mall in the Target wing, we are right across from H&R Block. So if you go in the entrance over by the movie theater, we're right there on the right hand side. Our mission is to help all Jackson County residents work towards productive careers through post-secondary education or training. That does not limit us just to high school students. So if you have a brother or sister, mom or dad, cousin, aunt, uncle, or somebody like that who also would be interested in receiving some of this support, definitely have them come into our office and we will be more than glad to help them out. Currently, we are there from 11 till 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then every Friday and Saturday, our office is open from noon to 5. So, pretty flexible hours for you um, to be helping there for you. Want to quickly give you my contact information. So if you want to write this down, to have so you can reach out to me if after today you have questions, just so you have it. We will also be posting it in your Google Classroom, but my email address is tmiller, so T as in Travis, Miller, Miller, at jacksoncac.org. And then I'm also going to give you my personal cell phone number. That number is 517-262-0102. Texting me is the easiest way to get a hold of me. Like I said, it's my personal cell phone. If you are going to text me, all that I ask is you just preface the text message a little bit. Hey, this is Susan from Western High School. I have a question about the FAFSA. That way I have a little bit to work with, know a little bit more about the student. I can look up your record and see if we've met before, just so there's a little bit more context to that conversation. If you do give me a call, you will almost certainly get sent to voicemail. And if you want to leave me a voicemail just saying, hey, I had a question about this, give me a call back. I'm usually quick to respond. But again, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. If you are someone who wants to send me emails, that works as well. Um, so yeah, the next thing, just kind of again about what we are going to be doing. So over the course of the year, I will be helping you create and work towards whatever your post-secondary goals are. Some of you that might be joining the military, some of you might be wanting to explore an apprenticeship, some of you might be wanting to go to a community college, and others of you might want to go to a traditional four-year school. So the whole hope and goal for me during the school year is to meet with each one of you individually so that we can help you work towards that goal and whatever that goal is. Some of you will meet one time, you'll have a plan all laid out, and I'll kind of just help facilitate, point you in the right directions. Others of you, we might have to do a little bit more in depth about searching the majors that you might be interested in, doing a career assessment for those that it applies to. It just kind of depends. I want to meet you where you're at and then assist you to getting towards whatever that end goal is. And how do we do that? As I mentioned at the beginning, we will be doing a number of presentations. I currently have 5 scheduled, including this one. That is subject to change. We might add it depending on need. That's how many we did last year, and we thought it was super successful. And then we also will be scheduling one-on-one meetings where I will have a set time where you and I will sit down, discuss your plan a little bit more in depth, and then we will create a plan of action from there. As of right now, the current plan is going to be having you sign up on a specific date to meet with me. I'm here on Wednesdays all day, which I know is your guys' wacky day, so that'll be fun. Then I'm also here Thursday mornings. Basically, I need to meet with 9 of you a week to be able to meet with all of you guys by the point I want to. So we will be having you sign up 9 a week to meet with me during those times. My hours are going to be flexible in that if you are somebody who needs to meet with me on Wednesday, but cannot do so during the traditional school period because you have a test and then you're at the career center, I am opening up my hours on that full day to outside of the work time. So if you are somebody who needs to meet with me week 2 and on Wednesday, and the only time you can meet with me on that Wednesday is 9 p.m., sign up for the 9 p.m. slot on that time, and we will get our 30-minute to hour meeting done at the time that's convenient for you guys. For the rest of you, if you're able to do it during the school hours, awesome. I just want to make sure that I'm offering times that are the best for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. I believe we're just going to do it in alphabetical order for the first time through. That way, it's just the easiest way to do it. If it changes, we will definitely let you know on how we're going to do those signups. The first thing that I'm going to quickly go over is going to be the 5 frontiers. These are for students who are interested in going directly into work. I do this one first because this is a meeting that we need to do more one-on-one stuff with. I can't point you in a general-ish direction, and you're able to kind of successfully navigate this on your own. For a lot of people, this requires a lot more in-depth one-on-one meetings. So if you feel like I'm quickly going over this, just know that's because I know the importance of us meeting one-on-one and knowing that we can accomplish more things. But if you are somebody who is going directly into the work, I want to make sure that you are aware of the things that I do offer. So the first thing is we're going to help with career assessment. So if you come to me and say, I want to go right into work, but I have no idea what it is that I want to do, career assessment tools are what we're going to do. It's you take an intake survey or 3 or 4, and it creates a general-ish listing of jobs that you might be interested in. We then take those jobs and do research into them to see if they're a right fit for you. So they're not perfect. You do have to do a little bit of legwork, but at least gives us a general outline for that. We will then go over your resume and cover letter. These are really useful if you haven't created a resume before and you are looking to join the workforce. This is going to be um, something really important. We will help you mold that resume. One thing that when I'm working with students who create a resume, is they don't realize that you need to change the resume for everything that you're doing. So if you come to me and say, okay, I'm applying for a job at Alroll Steel, we want to make sure that we tweak your resume to fit that job description. The same with the cover letter. We also will help with the interview skills. How do I do this? I usually set up a 5 to 10 minute um, test interview where you'll come in. I will ask you interview questions for about 5 minutes, and then we will spend about 5 minutes going over your answers, things that I noticed about your posture, how words that you might have said, because that's something that you won't find in a lot of interview settings. Is you'll go into an interview and you'll be like, oh, I killed that. And then 2 weeks later, you find out you didn't get the job, and no one's ever going to give you that constructive criticism on what you could have done in the interview. And that's really the goal of the interview support that we do. We have every year we have students who are interested in pursuing a job shadowing opportunity, and I am willing and able to offer kind of supports and helping facilitate that. It has gotten a little bit more difficult to do, but if you are interested in doing that, where you go in a couple hours a week and you just follow along with somebody who is working in the career that you're interested in, it's a great opportunity. Um, and again, I will assist in helping you set that up. And then the last one is going to be job search and placement. This typically happens closer towards the end of the year. It really depends on the individual, what they want. But it's pretty self-explanatory. When you get to the point where you're ready to start searching for a job and applying for job and accepting jobs, we will set up a time to work with you on that. So again, these are really kind of individual type things, but I want to mention it first so that if you are somebody who knows that you're going to join the workforce right away, that you are aware that I do have services and we will be meeting in a one-on-one setting to work towards these. For those of you that are interested in going to a college, doing an apprenticeship, either 2 or 4 year or just like a traditional apprenticeship, we break those into 4 seasons. We do this so that way you guys have a general outline of when and basically when you should be doing things. So the first season is going to be apply. This is from August 1st to Thanksgiving. Um, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's you are going in and doing the application. Season two is FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. That date it becomes available October 1st, and many schools require it to be submitted by March 1st. The third season is scholarships, and this is really the only one where the timeline isn't perfect, because scholarships are something that you could be working on now, and this is something that you're going to be doing until you graduate college. And then the fourth and final one is making a decision. National Decision Day is May 1st. Many schools will require you to have your decision made by that day. Some may not, but I want to just make sure that you are aware of those. And now we're going to go a little bit more in depth about each of those. So for apply, we ask that students apply to at least 3 different schools. Um, we do this because we want you to explore options outside of your kind of safety zone. And then we also have a number of students that apply to a school that they didn't think they would get into or didn't think they could afford every single year. And then they find out later on down the road that they were accepted or that their financial aid package was better than they anticipated. So we ask that you apply to a safe school. Typically, this is a school that you are positive that you're going to be accepted into, and that you are confident that you'll be able to afford the school. For most students in this area, that ends up being Jackson College. As long as you graduate from high school, you get accepted to the school, and being a community college, their tuition is going to be lower than your other local schools. like Michigan State or something like that. For match schools, this is a school that you're confident that you'll get accepted to, or you're confident that you can afford it, but you might be a little bit more kind of on that bubble. This is a little bit more difficult to give an example because it truly does depend on the type of student you are, as well as your SAT score and finances. But just to give examples, for some students, a match school might be Central Michigan, it might be Spring Arbor, or it could be Michigan and Michigan State. Again, it just really depends on the type of student you are, but we want students to apply to at least one safe school, so one that you know you're going to get into, one match school, one that you are confident that you'll get into, but it's a little bit more dicey. And then we ask students to also apply to a REACH school. These REACH schools are schools that you aren't sure that you'll be able to afford, or you aren't sure that you'll actually be accepted to. For each student, again, this is going to look completely different. If you are a 4.0 student and you have a perfect score on your SAT, we would encourage you to apply to an Ivy League school. If you're more of your average high school student, a 3.2 GPA and a 1,000 on your SAT, a REACH school might be the University of Michigan. So really, is we just want some you guys as students to apply to schools that might be just outside of where you think you'll get accepted to, because you never know. And then we also add honors programs. So if you apply to Central Michigan for your match school, we would consider applying for their honors program as applying for a separate REACH school, because they will have different standards that they're looking for. So when I meet with you and you are a student who says, I want to go to a college, these are the three I'm going to ask you about what three schools you might be applying for that would meet this model. So just make sure you're keeping that in mind. The FAFSA, as I mentioned, it's the free application for federal student aid. This is an application that you'll apply for every single year. It becomes available October 1st. And as I mentioned, it's something you do every single year. So you go senior year of high school, you apply for the FAFSA. That will become available next year as your freshman year in college, and you'll do that again October 1st. As I mentioned, it's the free application for student aid. What you will be applying for when submitting the FAFSA is you'll be applying for grants, loans, as well as work study from the federal government. I have many students who are like, oh, I don't want to do the FAFSA because I'm not going to apply for that. This next line might interests you more. More and more colleges are moving to a model where they are requiring students to submit a FAFSA before they will receive any institutional aid. I can speak on this from firsthand knowledge. I worked at a college, a private school, where if students had not done the FAFSA, we did not receive them, or we did not send them any institutional aid, because we just assumed that individual could cover the cost of attendance without our support. So if you are a student who's like, I don't want to do the FAFSA, it's going to be take an hour of my life. My parents aren't giving me their tax information. Just make sure you're checking in with your school to make sure that there's not going to be any negative ramifications. This is a presentation we will be doing. We will actually be doing two different presentations, one preparing for this FAFSA and one where we will actually be doing at least part of the FAFSA in class. So there will be a couple opportunities for you to ask a couple more questions about this. I will be sending we'll be sending a packet home with you guys to your parents about just general information about what the FAFSA is, things that they'll need to provide, um, among other things. And that's kind of mentioned here. And then again, it's just something you get to fill out every single year. Season 3 is going to be scholarships. When we are doing scholarships, we really want to focus on your local area. And there are some really great local scholarships here in Jackson County. The reason we want to focus on the local area is just because less students can apply for them. The least amount of competition there is for something, the better chances of you receiving that award they actually are. So the first scholarship that I want to go over is going to be the Jackson Community Foundation scholarship. The Jackson Community Foundation scholarship is an interesting one because there is a scholarship in here that I specifically want to highlight. It's the Meyer and Lois Franklin scholarship. It is a paper application, so you physically have to go in, print off the paper, paper form and fill it out by hand or fill it out on the computer and then print it out, probably smarter. And they only accept 250 total applications. So this becomes available in early November, and the date that they receive the 250th completed application, they tell everyone else we're not accepting this award. This is for up to $5,000, so it's a really, really awesome one to look at. But then also within the Jackson Community Foundation are the Jackson Community Foundation scholarships, and there are 35 different scholarships in this umbrella. The really cool thing about it is you go in and you start up one application and you can apply for up to 5 of those 35 scholarships with that one application. So they've made it a little bit more streamlined for you. The other scholarship is the local one that I want to bring up now is going to be the Sigmund Foundation Scholarship. They have 2 separate applications. They have one for your traditional students, so those who are going right into the 2 or 4 year college. But then they also have one for students that are interested in pursuing the trade or pursuing the skilled trades, excuse me. And both of those awards can be up to $5,000. There is a question on there where they say the student needs to be able to demonstrate need. We've had meetings with them, and they told us demonstrating need looks differently for everyone. So if you are a student who's like, well, I'm not going to get this because I can't demonstrate need, make sure you still apply because they do look need looks differently in a lot of different situations. So again, we will have a presentation at the end of October, about a week before these come available, just to refresh them in your mind. If they become available before that date, we'll actually work on them. But just wanted to bring these up to you. There are scholarships that you can be working on right now. These are typically going to be more state and national scholarships, and there's a couple resources that we do have available for you. My office, we create a monthly scholarship listing a couple months out, so they come out 2 months before that month actually begins. And what we've done is we've vetted these scholarships, and they are presented to you in a chronological order, and it says this scholarship is due this day. This scholarship is due this day. You then have to go through and read it and say, okay, does this apply to me? Oh, this scholarship's for students who are interested in going to med school, or this scholarship is for students who are going to education, and that's what I want to do. So let me research that more. We're not filtering it out to you as an individual. We are just saying, here are scholarships that we have determined to be legitimate scholarships and that you might want to take a look at. And this is the date it's due, and here's the description of it. If you are wanting to do some of those scholarships, but have them filtered a little bit more for you specifically, something that I want you to look at is going to be scholarship databases. What you'll do is you'll create an account using some of these resources, and they will then send you scholarships that apply to the umbrella of information that you gave them. So if you say, I want to go to Western Michigan, I want to pursue their engineering program, and I'm a first generation college student, they're going to say, here are all of the scholarships that we are aware of for students who are interested in engineering, they're first generation, or are going to Western Michigan. You then have to still go through and filter out which ones are going to be worth your time applying for. A couple tips with that is the first thing most students will do in that, once they've created the account and they've gotten their list, is they'll sort by the award amount. I want you to not do that. I want you to sort by the date due. Because everyone sorts by the award amount, they focus on the larger amounts, and they might miss out on opportunities to apply for scholarships that they had a greater chance at receiving. So when you're looking at a scholarship, I want you to kind of think of a few different things. The first one is, what are the chances that I receive this award? So if you meet all of their criteria, but let's say the minimum GPA is a 2.75 and the minimum SAT score is a 950, more than 50% of high school students could apply for that. So if it's more highly specific to you as an individual, you have to be going to Spring Arbor, you have to have a 3.0 GPA, and you have to have grown up in this specific church. Well, at that point, you are one of 100 people that might be able to apply for it. What are the chances that you receive it? How long is it going to take? And then what is the amount? So that's not something I want you to completely avoid looking at, but how long is it going to take to apply, and what is the amount are to they kind of go hand in hand. If you look at the application and it's going to take you 7 days to do a research project and you have to put that all together and it's only a $500 scholarship, that really not might not be worth your time. So it's just really trying to find the balance between those three things. And then again, we'll go over this when I come in to do the scholarship presentation. If you want to work on this together, that would be a great time. But if you want to go and start doing it between now and then, here are a couple different websites. The one that I've used the most in the past is FastWeb, but College Board Scholarships and CapEx are also great ones. I would not encourage you to create an account through all multiple because they will be giving you a lot of the same information and it will just bombard your email. And then the last thing of the four seasons is the decision. As I mentioned earlier, that this is typically done May 1st, but you really need to figure out with your school that you want to go to what their requirements are for this. So what is making a decision? It's not just saying, I'm going to Michigan State. There are a couple things that you need to do. So I've decided to go to Michigan State. The first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pay your security deposit or housing deposit or whatever the deposit is that they require to kind of lock in your space. They do this for a couple of reasons, but the main one is for them to have a general-ish idea of what students will be coming, how many students will be coming, and so they can develop kind of their plan for the year based off of that. For many schools, if you make a deposit, they will have a date where you can get the full amount of that deposit returned. So if you're like, I want to go to Michigan State, I want to secure up my spot, and then something changes between that date when you've made your decision and when you need to receive withdraw that deposit. A lot of schools will allow you to do that. So just don't be too afraid of making that deposit, but it just secures your spot. The second thing you'll need to do is attend orientation. For a lot of students this past year, that ended up being an online orientation, but some schools were still offering an in-person orientation. This is usually the gateway between you and your next step, which is going to be scheduling classes. Most schools will do the actual scheduling of classes at orientation. Once you are scheduled for your classes and you've made a deposit, you're most of the way there. There are a few things depending on what school you want to go to. The first one is going to be applying for housing or figuring out transportation. So if you are going to Michigan State and they require you to live on campus for that first year, you have not completed your decision until you've completed the housing application. If you are going to Jackson College next year and you're not living on campus, but you haven't figured out how you're going to get to and from school, um, you haven't made your decision yet. So making sure you figure out that transportation. And then the last thing, it doesn't need to be done in this order, but just making sure that your financial aid package is all in order. So each of the schools that you apply to and then have your FAFSA sent to, they're going to send you an awards package. With these are the awards that you are eligible for. You aren't going to receive those awards until you've gone in and actually physically accepted them through their online portal. So just make sure that that's all set up, making sure you don't need to do loan counseling, you don't need to turn in any documentation, just making sure that your financial aid is ready to go. And then I mentioned this, some schools will require you to make a decision by that May 1st, others will not. So if you have one or two schools in mind, making sure that you follow up with them on what that decision day, when they need to have your final decision by. That'll make your life a lot easier because if you are looking to go to the University of Michigan, I can tell you they will need you to tell them by May 1st. But a lot of your local, like Spring Arbor or some of those types of schools, will have a little bit more flexibility on those dates. So again, this was just quickly to kind of go over who I am and what we will be doing over the rest of this year. Again, I know that this was a lot of information. I threw it at you because I knew that we're going to have a lot of opportunities later in the year. To go a little bit more in depth on each of those areas. So if you have questions, I've given you my phone number and email address. If you are somebody who's meeting with me soon, I look forward to it. But if you are somebody who is not going to be meeting with me at the beginning of the year but has questions, definitely reach out to me. I don't want you to feel like you have to wait until your physical meeting with me to receive my support. So thank you for your time, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.